We come to the highlight of our NDICE conference for this year, the NDICE Follies coming up tonight. I'll just give you a quick rundown of what we have on our agenda tonight for our acts and all of those who will be appearing. It says here Louisville Skit and Song, but I think there's some weird group that I've seen wandering around here at Xavier. Not sure if they're one and the same, so they're going to be on first. Denny Nash will have a song second. Lou Weitzel, humor. Sil Gavin comes to play for us again. Ron Karcher, The Lion Hunt. Julio Rosado has got some humor for us this evening. Cliff Perriman, return act here to NDICE Follies as a song. Alfred Mitchell, storytelling, does a great job with storytellings. Bob Lippert and John Hempen, humor. Wayne Thieneman is going to have a song for us. And let's see, Wayne's Wanderers, I don't know who they are, but they're going to do something. And then some wrap-up stories, I think maybe by Boudreaux. And I think I just saw him around here just a minute ago. He was all dressed up, just as nice as can be. Looked like he might have just come from church, he was so dressed up. Is he around here anywhere? Has anybody seen Boudreaux somewhere? Oh, there he is, there he comes. Come on, Boudreaux. You're on, all right. You look so good there.
Thank you. Well, how y'all are? Are y'all ready for a really big show? Everybody left. Boy, I got to say one thing. It sure is nice to be able to get up here and expose myself in front of y'all like this. Man, I have so much fun when we do this. I tell you what, I go back home and I tell everybody, you know, that is the nicest audience I ever saw in my life. Man, there's some fine people out there. But that's a good-looking bunch out there. I tell you what. Man, that's a good-looking bunch out there. You know what? There's one thing about a kid, you know, we never lie. All of y'all ain't good-looking. You know that 1 out of every 3 people is not good-looking. So what I want you to do right now is look to your left and look to your right. And if it ain't them, guess what? We're going to get this show on the road tonight. Oh.
They think they got a show or something. I found this crew out there I don't know where they came from. But boy, you ought to see them.
And I understand we got some talent scouts in the audience.
That's what they said. They want to audition for us.
Man.
Should we let them on?
Let's let them on.
You sure?
Yeah, let's let them on.
Seen them.
I'll take my chances.
Okay,
We got to have somebody up here. All right, here's the Louisville bunch.
Woohoo! We're going to start the NDICE show. And if you know the words, you can just sing along. Okay, everybody? I reckon we're pretty near ready. You ain't never heard singing so purty.
Oh, I done broke the mic. Hey, y'all.
Howdy. We're ready to sing the NDICE song. Okay. One, three.
Another NDICE, another year, another evening and fun and cheer. So settle back, relax, let's go. Another NDICE, another show. Another NDICE, another year. We deacons have come from far and near.
Well, thank you very much. So kindly we love every one of you guys here. But you know what? We heard that there's some talent scouts in this audience from You Got Talent show. And so we're kind of auditioning. Ain't that right, Pa?
Sure enough is.
All right, let's get ready here, folks, because you ain't heard any singing until we get started, okay? Woo-hoo! Just in case you don't know it, these are all my kin back here, okay? Say howdy, everybody. Howdy. Okay. Oh. What?
Howdy, everybody.
Howdy, everybody. Oh.
He's usually behind a little bit on what we're doing, okay? All right. Now we're going to sing something maybe. It's sort of tender to my heart. It's called Feuding, a Fussing, and a Fighting. And if you know the words, you just sing along with us, okay? Because we love to have you sing it. Okay, gang, we ready? All right, let me catch my breath. I'm plumb out of breath. Okay. Okay. Feuding, a fussing, and a fighting. Sometimes it gets to be exciting. Don't mind the hungry neighbors down by the creek. We'll be plumb out of neighbors next week. Grandma, poor old Grandma. Why'd they have to shoot poor old Grandma? She lies 'neath the clover. Somebody caught her bending over, picking up a daisy. Well, woohoo! We ain't quite ready there. Okay. Well, yes, we are.
Hey, Gary.
What?
How do you know your church is a redneck church?
Because instead of a bell to call the service, you use a duck call. Oh, mercy.
What's the difference between a hillbilly wedding and a hillbilly funeral?
Do what? Oh, do what?
What's the difference between a hillbilly wedding and a hillbilly funeral?
Well, in a hillbilly funeral, you got one less drunk.
Hey, Gary.
What?
Gary.
What?
How do you get a hillbilly out of a bathtub?
Do what?
How do you get a hillbilly out of a bathtub?
You throw him a bar of soap. Woo!
Gary.
What?
Again.
What?
How do you know if your church is a redneck church?
The final words of the benediction is, y'all come back now, you hear?
You know what? I think this is a religious group. What do you say, guys? Oh, please. But right now is a special part of our program, everybody. We got, you've watched that Green Acre show before with Eddie Albert and Eva Gabor. We got it right here. Come on out, guys. Well, we're here for this conference, and we done learned how to evangelize, right? That's right, everybody. So our song is kind of religious. All right, you ready? Okay, go right ahead. Later. Deacon people are the folks for me. Christian living is the life for me. Friends spreading out so far and wide. Keep on smiling, Jesus is alive.
Hallelujah.
With the people I would rather stay. See our children each and every day. I just adore their many styles. Darling, I love you, sharing all your smiles.
The preaching,
The greeting,
the prayers,
We care.
you are my life.
Goodbye, just as right. God takers, we are there. Now that we are ready for the next and last segment, y'all be careful there, will you please? Listen, everybody on your table.
That's how we got my lovely little pig here.
Which pig you talking
Does that look like anybody in the family? Grandpa!
Now listen.
Pig's name Arnold.
Arnold Letter.
Woo!
Oh, that's right. I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl.
It's a boy.
Okay, will y'all be quiet, please? Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we need some audience participation. So some of you on your tables, you have them there kazoos.
Don't spit it.
Don't spit it. If you spit it, they won't work.
It's more fun than being in NASCAR.
And now I think many of you will know the words to this song, and it's our end song, and so y'all invited to join in to the song. There's no business like show business. So you know that one, don't you? Okay, we're going to get started.
Don't you know the song?
Okay, are we ready? We are ready. Play your kazoos now. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere could you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you open and there you are. The next day on your dressing room they promise a star. Let's go on with the show.
It's okay. You'll get your medicine when we get off.
You know, I told you about that, about people being not too nice looking, you know. And I thought Marie Boudreau was ugly, but boy, I tell you what. I checked with Marie's mama one time and asked if she was ugly all her life or she got ugly later on. And her mama said, no, she was ugly all her life. And matter of fact, they used to have to tie a pork chop around her neck so the dog would play with her. Okay, next up on this agenda is my friend Mr. Denny Nash, who will serenade us in song. Denny.
I don't know if I should share this or not, but I'm from Louisville. And I was nervous about being up here. And I'd like to say it's a tough act to follow, but for all of my where's my Michigan friends? Hey, there they are. I promised I'd do this. How y'all doing? So, no, mine's on a little bit more serious note. My daughter came to me, she's late 20s, with a song that she had just heard and fell in love with. And it was simple enough that I can play it. But it's kind of a folk song, but it's done by a group. It was written by the lead singer of a female group called the Waylon Jennies. Okay, and they're from Australia. But, you know, part of this whole evangelization thing is how do we get back in touch with that 25 to 40-year-old group? And I'm a firm believer that music is one of the ways that we can connect generations. So anyway, for that reason, I chose to do this song for you this evening. Hope you can hear it. Are you going to put a mic on me or the guitar? Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine. This is the first time I've ever had a roadie. That's good. I'm not that good. Can we get it close here so I can see the words? That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Hey, give her a hand. Yes. This is not what you call professional show business, but yeah, I wasn't talking about the previous act. Okay. You can't find talent like that. This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. The sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of all of us, singing with love, the will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it will turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. That was for all my Louisville brothers and sisters. Thank you.
You know, when I had that little pig up here a while ago, it kind of reminded me of something. This was Bishop Kimmick's favorite joke. And I'm going to speed it up because we don't want to waste time. But old Boudreaux had this old sow. And the old sow would just root around in the mud all day. One day, Thibodeau came over there and he said, Boo, he said, you don't take that little pig down there where they got that sign that say bore at stud? Man, you could have a lot of little pigs and sell that. So he did. He would put the sow in the wheelbarrow and he rolled it down. The guy said, yeah, $15. They put her in the pen, drank coffee, come out and roll it back home. Next morning, he get up. Boy, he said, I bet you we got a bunch of little pigs running around out there. Went to the window, he looked out. He said, oh, nary a one. She said, what you going to do? We're going to try it again. So he repeated the process. Next morning, he gets up, goes to the window. He said, God, still ain't got no little pig out there. Must have not took. She said, it's getting kind of expensive. What you going to do? Well, he said, I'm going to try it one more time. So he loaded the old sow in the wheelbarrow, and he rolled it down, paid the money, drank the coffee, rolled it back. Next morning, he get up. He said, Maria, I just ain't got the heart to go out there and look. She said, I'm going to go look for you, Boo. Don't worry. She went to the window and she said, Boo, I hate to tell you this. There ain't no little pigs out there, but the sow's in the wheelbarrow. I had to tell that story when Bishop Kimmick was chairperson of the Bishops' Committee for 3 years in a row. I had to tell that story. The last year he was there, we were at Notre Dame in the library, and there was some construction going on outside. So when it was my turn, I had found a wheelbarrow out there. and I came in from the spot time from the side, and I rolled the wheelbarrow, and I put it right in front of him, and I walked on the stage. And then after it was over, we gave him a little plastic wheelbarrow with a pig in it. He said, boy, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this to my priest. All right, next up, I have the oldest active deacon in the United States, Mr. Lou Wetzel. He's here again to share a little bit of his humor with us. So let's give Lou a big hand. Bring him on stage.
The thing that I have been doing for a number of years now, and I collect humor in the church. And some of it is humorous, some of it isn't humorous. But all of you deacons out there, a lot of the stuff that we think is humorous is actually things that we could do something about, maybe correcting. So listen closely. I got to get my spectacles out here because I'm not a kid anymore. When we say amen, that's the only part of the prayer that everybody knows. A bulletin is your receipt for attending Mass. Choir is a group of people whose singing allows the rest of us in the parish to lip sync. Holy water is a liquid whose chemical formula is H2OLY, created by boiling the hell out of it. Hymn is a song of praise, usually sung in a key 3 octaves higher than that of the congregation's range. Recessional hymn, the last song at Mass that's sung a little more quietly, since most of the people have already left. Incense, holy smoke. Jesus, Jesuits, an order of priests known for their ability to find colleges with good basketball teams. Jonah, the original Jaws story. Justice, when kids have their own kids. Kyrie eleison, the only Greek words that most Catholics can recognize besides gyros and baklava. Magi, the most famous trio to attend a baby shower. Manger, where Mary gave birth to Jesus because Joseph wasn't covered by an HMO. Pew, a medieval torture device still found in Catholic churches. A procession, the ceremonial formation at the beginning of Mass, consisting of altar servers, the celebrant, and late parishioners looking for pews. Recessional, the ceremonial procession at the conclusion of the Mass, led by parishioners trying to beat the crowd to the parking lot. Relics, people who have been going to Mass for so long they actually know when to sit and stand. 10 Commandments, the most important top 10, not given by David Letterman. Ushers, the only people in the parish who don't know the seating capacity of a pew. Now I've got some things that children in church. A little boy was overheard praying, "Lord, if you can't make me a better boy, don't worry about it. I'm having a real good time like I am." And then there's another one. One particular 4-year-old prayed, "And forgive us our trespasses, and forgive us our trash baskets, as we forgive those who put trash in our baskets." A Sunday school teacher asked her children as they were on the way to a church service, "Why is it necessary to be quiet in church?" And one bright little girl piped up and said, "Because people are sleeping." A wife invited some people to dinner. At the table, she turned to her 6-year-old daughter and said, "Would you like to say the blessing?" "I wouldn't know what to say," the daughter said. "Just say what you heard Mommy say," the wife answered. Yeah. The daughter bowed her head and said, "Lord, why on earth did I invite all these people to dinner?" Now this one is a new church service of the future. The pastor comes out and says, "Praise the Lord." The congregation replies, "Hallelujah." "Pastor, can we please turn our tablet, PC, iPad, cell phone, and Kindle Bibles to 1 Corinthians 13:13? And please switch on your Bluetooth to download the sermon. Now let us pray, committing this week into God's hands. Open your APPs, BBMs, Twitters, and Facebook and chat with God. Dead silence. As we take our Sunday tithes and offerings, please have your credit and debit cards ready. You can log on to the church Wi-Fi using the password Lord909887. Ushers circulate mobile card swipe machines among the worshipers. Those who prefer to make electronic fund transfers are directed to computers and laptops at the rear of the church. Those who prefer to use iPads, flip them open now. Those who prefer telephone banking, take out your cell phones to transfer your contributions to the church account. The holy atmosphere of the church becomes truly electrified as all the cell phones, iPads, PCs, laptops bleep, 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 and flicker, flicker, flicker. Final blessing and closing announcements. This week's ministry cell meetings will be held on various Facebook group pages where the usual group chatting takes place. Please log in and don't miss out. Thursday's Bible study will be held live on Skype at 1900 hours GMT. Please don't miss out. You can follow your pastor on Twitter this weekend for counseling and prayers. God bless and have a wonderful week. Thank you all.
Okay, moving on here. Let's bring up my friend Sil with his guitar, and let's have a few little songs, Sil. See, Darth was supposed to sing with him, but she chickened out. I gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Hank. Good. While we're still getting set up, I think pigs are a theme for the day. This couple's driving down a highway and they're going to a heated argument, and they pull up to a stop sign and there's a pig farm on the right, and the wife looks over and goes, relatives of yours? And without missing a beat, the husband says, yeah, in-laws. And for those who are members of my site, I actually used that in a homily, and I had to forget whatever I tied that text into for that one. Good. I guess I'll be able to see. Thank you. A few years ago, well, quite a few years ago, I graduated from high school and went directly into the Jesuit seminary up in Poughkeepsie, New York, what's now the Culinary Institute of America. Some transformation, huh? It's like... And when I left 5 years later, I went back home to my parish, and it was 1969. And I had been selected as the organist in my year. Every year I had 36 enter. Can you imagine, 36? And I was selected as the organist. You know, the master of novices calls me in one day and goes, you're going to be our organist for the year. I was like, I've never touched the, piano, yes, but anyway. And I had done a little guitar just before I went in the seminary. So after I left, I went back to home parish, and of course there's an organist there, so they don't need me as that. But they didn't have a folk group yet. So I talked to the pastor, and I said, what about a folk group? He said, yeah, sure, take the basement of the church. That's the best place for them, Anyway, so it started my love affair of guitar, and I think for those of us who were, all of you probably, mostly, grew up in the 60s and 70s, not grew up, but sort of came of age, folk group was quite a thing. And one of my favorite groups was Peter, Paul, and Mary. And of course, we lost Mary a couple of years ago to leukemia. And one of the last concerts we went to see, my wife and I, with them, was at the New Jersey State Theater in New Brunswick. God bless you. And Mary was in a wheelchair at that time. And Peter and Paul didn't want to embarrass her, so they sat through the whole concert. And anyway, this is one of the songs that I was playing back 40 years ago around this time. I'll walk in the rain by your side. I'll cling to the warmth of your hand. I'll do anything if you a reflection of the love in your eyes. And I'll sing you the songs of the rainbow, whisper all the joy that is mine. The leaves will bow down when you walk by, and morning bells will chime. The leaves will bow down when you walk by, and morning bells will chime. Thank you. I sang that to my wife on my wedding day. That was 40 years ago, so that was what the link was. Back in around 2011, after that, my wife and I started, I don't know why I hadn't noticed it before, but Peter, Paul, and Mary were starting to give concerts in the Performing Arts Center in Newark. So we went one year, and they go through the first, well, they used to, obviously, go through the first half of the concert together, and then the second half started with each of them doing a section. So Mary came out first, and she did her thing, and then Paul came up. And, of course, I'd been involved in liturgical music again. He started to talk about the song, Wedding Song. And I've played it at weddings. I've preached about it at weddings, pretty much. And he said that Peter had asked him to write a song for his wedding. So he said it was about 2 months before he was, the wedding, and he sat down one day, and the song really just came to him. And he started playing and the song and so on. So, and as a little aside, he never makes a penny off this song because he felt so inspired that he had just been an instrument of the song, that he had been used as, do you have this feeling anytime? Anyway, that he put it in public domain. And as you know, musicians make money and livelihoods out of what they write. Anyway, his wife, and I love telling this story even at a wedding. His wife came up to him and said, "Did you write the song yet?" He goes, "Yeah." "So you're going to play it for me?" He goes, "No." "You're going to play it for me, aren't you?" "No." He played it for her. So after it was over, she looked at him and says, "You can't sing that song. Everybody's going to think you're making yourself out to be God." So he changed the song to the words that you've heard. But then he proceeded to sing the song the way he had intended to sing it. I am now to be among you at the calling of your hearts. Rest assured this troubadour is acting on my part. The union of your spirits here has caused me to remain, for whenever two or more of you are gathered in my name, there am I, and there is love. Well, then what's to be the reason for becoming man and wife? Is it love that brings you here, or love that brings you life? For if loving is the answer, then who's the giving for? Do you believe in something that you've never seen before? Oh, there's love. There is love. What's to be the reason for becoming man and wife? Is it love that brings you? I missed it, sorry. Well, then what what's to be the reason coming. No, I missed it. Oh, I missed it. Oh. Well, anyway, that was the song. It was. I haven't done it in too long. Anyway, he changed the words to I. I am now to be among you, as God is to be in this couple that is getting married. And it meant a lot to me at that time. Hopefully you can all sing along with this one. Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea. And you know what? I got the wrong key. Let me try this again. Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff, and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flag when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came, and pirate ships would lower their flag when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. You know a dragon lives forever, but not so, little boy. Painted rings and giant's wings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. Oh, Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon, lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Well, let me tell you the story of a man named Charlie on a tragic and fateful day. He put 10 cents in his pocket, kissed his wife and family, went to ride on the MTA. Well, did he ever return? No, he never returned, and his fate is still unlearned. Poor old Charlie, he may ride forever through the streets of Boston, the man who never returned. Charlie put in his nickel at the Kendall Street station, bound for a Jamaica plane. But when he got there, conductor said just one more nickel. Charlie couldn't get off of that train. Well, did he ever return? No, he never returned, and his fate is still unlearned. Poor old Charlie, he may ride forever in the streets of Boston. He's the man who never returned. Charlie, now all night long, Charlie rides through the station crying, what will become of me? How can I afford to see my sister in Chelsea or my brother in Roxbury? Well, did he ever return? No, he never returned, and his fate is still unlearned. Poor old Charlie, he may ride forever, beats the streets of Boston, he's the man who never returned. And Charlie's wife goes down to the Scully Square station every day about 2:15. And through the open window she hands Charlie a sandwich as the train goes rumbling through. Well, did he ever return? No, he never returned, and his fate is still unlearned. Poor old Charlie may ride forever, beneath the streets of Boston, he's the man who never returned. Now, you citizens of Boston, don't you think it's a crime the way the people must pay and pay? Fight the fare increase, vote for George C. Murphy, help get Charlie off that MTA. When did he ever return? And his fate is still unlearned. Poor old Charlie may ride forever beneath the streets of Boston, he's the man who never returned. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're bound to die. I met her on a mountain, there I took her life. Up there on that mountain, I stabbed her with my knife. Oh well now, boy, hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, 'cause poor boy, you're bound to die. Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Okay. You know, a while ago when my friend Lou was talking about all his modern churches, that's not so modern. Several years ago, Archbishop Sheen was talking to Robert Schuller, and he was talking about all this drive-in stuff, and of course, Schuller had that drive-in church in California. And after Archbishop Sheen passed away, Robert Schuller had a tribute to him, and he told that story that Archbishop Sheen said about the drive-in stuff. He said, Archbishop Sheen said, you know, we're thinking about putting a drive-in confessional in the Catholic churches. And he said, we're going to put a sign on it that said, toot and tell or go to hell. All right, Ron Karcher, the Lion Hunt. Let's see what that's all about.
I wish I could sing or play like that, but I can't. What a great gift. But when you get stuck sometimes, I've been a teacher and a principal for 43 years, and you get stuck in a class and you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you don't know what to do, and the teacher didn't leave you any lesson plans, you tell stories. So I'm going to tell you. First, have many people been on a lion hunt? Oh, good. One, all right. And she's still alive. Okay, I'll need your help for this. We're going to go on a lion hunt. So, when we go across a bridge, we do this. Come on. When we're walking, we go like this. This is swimming. Okay, we're going to the dark jungles. It's not quite dark, but we're in the darkest jungles of Cincinnati. And we're heading for a lion hunt. River up ahead. There's a bridge. Stay with me. You're good. We're getting closer. I have to slow down. Get real close. Got to be very quiet. No talking. I think I see the lion. Pow! I missed!
All right, let's move on with this show here. Julio Rosado. Where's Julio? Oh, there he is. He's going to shed a little humor with us. Julio. A little? All right. You pull up your sign and say laugh, please.
Yes. I'm going to need this one. When I got here the other day, people look at me and say, "Oh, you are new. Is that obvious?" When I found out that I have a red, oh, that's why they put me in red. Well, there was this little old lady driving through Highway 65, I think is the one that gets here, right? And his little grandson was sitting in the back. So all of a sudden, the police comes. She stops to the side, rolls the window down, and the police says, "Lady, you know why did I stop you?" The guy in the back rolls the window down and says, I know. "Oh yeah, you know, tell your grandma. Why?" "Because the other one was too fast for you." Okay. That's just to warm up the ambient. So the teacher is teaching the kids, and she starts telling the story. And she says, this man lived with his wife by the river, and one day the gentleman decides to go fishing. In the middle of the river, the boat turns over and the man goes down. So when she sees that the man goes overboard, she remembers that he doesn't know how to drive. So she runs to the riverbank. And she paused and silence in the room, and she asked, "Do you know why did she run to the riverbank?" A little girl says, I know. "Why?" "To withdraw the savings." Okay. My last one is this. Does everybody knows what is the bed bug? Do you know what is lady, how you call them? The ones that had a little, that one. Now, this young man, when I came a long time ago to Chicago, he was an American guy, and he thought he knew Spanish. So he started speaking to me in Spanish. "Mr. Julio, can you tell me dónde puedo ir a vacations? Well, if you want to go to Puerto Rico, it's a beautiful island, a lot of things to do, and you can go. If you want to spend a lot of money, you can spend a lot of money. If you don't have too much money, you can find a ways not to spend a lot of money." Okay, so I don't have no mucho money, so I'm gonna go and try not to spend mucho money, but have a lot of fun. So he goes to Puerto Rico, he arrives, San Juan, he calls a taxi, Mr. Taxista, I want to have fun in Puerto Rico, but I don't want to spend too much money in hotel, so take me to a cheap hotel, so I don't have to spend too much money, and I have more money to have fun. He was imitating my English. Then he goes, the taxi man takes him to a cheap hotel, and he told the innkeeper, Mr. Hotelero, yo quiero cuarto barato, no mucho money to spend in cuarto, porque yo querer tener fun. How do you say fun in Spanish? Divertirme, yeah. Okay. The innkeeper told him, with his good English, look, I have 2 rooms left, but there is a little problem. The cheapest one is in the lower floor, but the bed has bed bugs. There in Puerto Rico, we call them chinches. It has chinches. The second one is a beautiful room with window outside. You can see the ocean, stars, light all night, nice breeze if you open the window, but it's a little more expensive. No problema, Mr. Hotelero, yo coger first floor, no problema. Yo dormir all night, and mañana divertirme, okay? You've been told. Okay, he pays the guy, he goes to bed, and in the middle of the night, he starts scratching around. Mr. Hotelero, chinches no dejarme dormir. I'll pay you more. I go second floor, I go next room. Chinches no dejarme dormir. Okay, go upstairs. Then he goes to sleep, opens the window, the nice breeze comes in, he falls asleep. And early in the morning, he kind of opens his eyes, well relaxed, and all of a sudden he sees some little things all over the room. He opens the eyes, runs down the stairs. Mr. Hotelero, yo regresar a Chicago. Pero why, man? Everything was going so good. No, chinches looking for me with flashlights.
All right. Now I have my good friend Cliff Perriman come up here and entertain y'all with a couple songs. Cliff? I called Cliff, I said, Cliff, you're going to be in the Follies, huh? Yeah. Kind of hedged a little bit. I said, yeah, you will. All right, Cliff.
Then I found out I'm going to be participating in the liturgy tomorrow, too. Thank you, Hank. Got to be careful when Hank knows who you are. I want to be a little closer to the. Yeah, just pull it aside. That's fine. Thanks. These roadies, they don't have much allegiance, do they? Gone through some change since the last time I was with you. We are no longer in Toledo. We're back in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Yeah. In the northern part of the diocese. Yeah, big change. Small parish, sort of small parish, 5 churches, no big deal. Decided to get out of corporate America and go into full-time ministry, semi-retirement. Somebody asked me, how's that working for you? No such thing as semi-retirement, huh? not in church ministry. Although I was talking to Kevin at dinner here, and oh my God, I don't want to be 24/7 like he is. Our daughter, youngest, was married the 1st of June, and she asked our son to play this piece for them. And I'd never heard it before, and I fell in love with it. Since I have taken time to move into full-time ministry, I've done a lot more reading and have taken on a little bit more of an incarnational life view, the likes of Richard Rohr and Ronald Rolheiser and folks like that. And this piece, I think, speaks to that for me in an important way. It talks about the immensity of God that is always pursuing me. It's a more contemporary piece, so you may not have heard it. Your grandkids probably have. It's called How He Loves Me, and it's by the David Crowder Band. He is jealous for me, loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of the afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us all, how he loves us all, how he loves us all. I am unaware of the afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us all, oh, how he loves us, how he loves us all. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us all. We are his portion and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I'm thinking about the way that he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us all. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us all. He is jealous for me, loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the of his wind and mercy. We are his portion and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking, and he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us. Oh. Thank you. This is a piece I'm sure you're familiar with, and I would certainly enjoy you joining me, especially on the echo to the refrain. And I think it fits perfectly with what we've heard in the last couple of days about how this whole business that we're in is not a program, it's a process, it's a journey. And this piece is the David Haas piece, which is one of my favorite musicians, Come and Journey with Me. Come to the song, come to the dance, bring all you are and all you can be. Come with your voice, come with your heart, come and journey with me. Come and journey with me. Come, let the sun fill up your eyes. Take the time to look around and love, just love, and walk with each other. Come and journey with me. Come and journey with me. Come and see, come and be all you are and all you can be. Leave all behind, calm your mind. Come and journey with me. Come and journey with me.
Well, our next performer, I had a lot of requests for this guy. Asked me if he was going to appear tonight, and he kind of hedged a little bit, but we kind of, for those of y'all who wanted to hear Alfred, we talked him into it. So, Alfred Mitchell.
Good evening. After listening to all these wonderful talks we've had over these last 2 days, I tried to find a couple stories that would illustrate, at least for me anyway, exemplify for me what they were about. It seems to me like one very important thing is communication, and our relationship with God is also quite important. So I have two short stories for you to illustrate that. The first one is a kind of humorous story. I've used both these stories in homilies and other presentations, and feel free to use them if you like. The first story goes this way. There were three young men who were riding home from a conference when they were involved in a terrible accident, and they were killed. They arrived up at the pearly gates, and St. Peter started looking through his book, and he says, "Oh my goodness," he said, "it's a mistake. You guys aren't supposed to be here yet." So he goes in, he says, "Lord," he says, "look," he says, "I've got these three guys out here who are not supposed to be here. What can I do?" God said, "Well, Peter, just send them back." He said, "But you can't send them back as human beings because it cause too much of a problem. But anything else, send them back." So he says to the first guy, what would you like to go back as? He said, well, I'd like to be a gray eagle in the Amazon rainforest. He said, I'd love to explore, and I just love to see the whole Amazon River basin and see what it's like, all of that. So St. Peter says, you got it, and away he went. The second person said, well, St. Peter, I'm a sailor, and I'd like to explore all the oceans of the world. Send me back as a blue whale. Okay, blue whale, and away he goes. The third guy comes up with a big smile on his face. He says, St. Peter, send me back as a stud. St. Peter said, okay, you got it, and away he goes. Well, time passes, and God said, well, Peter, you know those three guys you sent back? It's time to bring them back now. So Peter calls the first guy back and said, well, how was he? He said, oh, St. Peter, it was absolutely magnificent. He said, I flew all over the Amazon River basin. I even got up in Central America. He said, oh, it was just wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Second guy comes up and says, oh, St. Peter says, I explored all the world's oceans. I sailed around the Cape of Good Hope, around the tip of South Africa, and around Cape Horn, around the tip of South America. It was just wonderful. Thank you, thank you. So St. Peter sits down, and God said, well, Peter, wasn't there three? He said, well, yeah, Lord. He said, there were three. He said, but I can't bring the third guy back. God said, what do you mean you can't bring him back? Well, Lord, he wanted to be a stud. I can't bring him back. Why can't you bring him back? He's a 2x4 in some guy's garage in Kansas City. So be sure that you state your case clearly so it's understood. The second story is a bit more serious. It's a creation story from the people of Uganda. You know, if you look into the culture of any country or any ethnic group, you can always find two kinds of stories. One would be a great flood story and also a creation story. So this is a creation story from the people of Uganda. Kabese Mpunga, the chief of all the gods, who created all the world, all the human beings, and gave everything to the world that it needed, and gave to the human beings everything they needed too, except for Mutima, or spirit. And one day, Kabese Mpunga came to his 4 children, sun, moon, darkness, and rain. He said to them, my children, I must go away now to a place that you do not know. But before I go, tell me what you will do. And sun said, oh, Father Kabese Mpunga, I will just shine down hotly and brightly until all the world is burnt. Oh, no, no, God says, you must not do that. Rain, what will you do? And rain said, well, I will just pour down until all the world is covered with water. And again, the God says, no, 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 you will take turns with brother sun. You will come and soften the earth, and then he will come and warm it so that plants can grow to feed the animals and human beings that I have created. And darkness, my child, he said, what about you? And darkness said, well, Father Kabese Mpunga, when the sun is not shining, then I will rain all of the time. And Kabese Mpunga said, no, no, you will take turns with Sister Moon. She will reign for 3/4, and then you may reign. But my children, I've been here a long time now, and so I must go away from you. And so Father Kabese Mpunga departed from his 4 children, sun, moon, darkness, and rain. And shortly after, along came Mutima in a very small container about the size of my hand. And she said to sun, moon, darkness, and rain, where is Father Kabese Mpunga? I want to commune with him. And they said, oh, Mutima, Father Kabese Mpunga has gone away to a place we do not know. And then said Mutima, or spirit, I shall enter into the human beings, and throughout the generations, I shall search for Father Kabese Mpunga. And so the Ugandans say, and I think we say too, that is why there is in all of us this longing for God. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. That's wonderful as usual. Alfred has the best stories. And of course, Alfred also does retreats and such. If you need a good retreat master, he's the man to see. Well, I had to because I talked you into doing this, you see. Well, all right, now I got my 2 buddies from Belleville, right. Bob Lippert and John Hennon. Come on up here.
Here we go again, John.
Ah, yeah. Here we go.
These two young boys were walking home from church after hearing this particularly strong fire and brimstone sermon about the devil. The one boy turns to the other and he says, Do you believe all this stuff about Satan? The other boy says, I don't know. He says, it probably, you know how Santa Claus turned out, it'd probably be your father.
Boss asked his employee, he says, do you believe in life after death? And the employee says, yes, sir, I do believe I do. I believe in life after death. And he says, well, then everything is fine. When you left early from work yesterday to go see your grandmother, she came by and to see how you were doing.
Attending a wedding for the first time, the little girl turned to her mother and says, Mother, why is the bride all dressed in white? She said, well, white is the color of happiness, and this is the happiest day of her life. The little girl thought for a little bit and said, well, why is the groom in black?
It's Palm Sunday. And because the little boy had a sore throat, he stayed home from church on Sunday. And when the family got back from church, they were carrying palms with them. And the little boy says, well, what was that all about? What do you have palms for? And they said, well, Jesus appeared to us on Palm Sunday. Jesus appeared to us, and he said, what do you know? He says, one day I take off from church, and Jesus shows up.
Hey, what?
This Xavier University?
Yeah.
This the NDICE thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got a load of pepper.
Pepper?
I got a load of pepper for NDICE.
What do we want with pepper for NDICE?
Well?
What do you got there? Some kind of Cajun pepper?
No.
Black pepper.
Dolly pepper.
Woo-hoo. It's going to be a night. Oh. Little girl was running late for Sunday school, and she's all dressed up in her finery, and she's running and running. She's, Lord, dear Lord, don't let me be late. Dear Lord, don't let me be late. About that time, she tripped, and down she went. Tore her dress, got herself all dirty. She got up, she dusted herself off, takes off running again, says, dear Lord, don't let me be late, but don't push me again.
Easter Sunday morning, the deacon was preaching the children's sermon, and he reached into his bag of props and he pulled out an egg, and he pointed to the egg and he asked the children, what's in this egg? And a little boy raised his hands, oh, I know, it's pantyhose.
Three boys were out in the schoolyard bragging about their fathers and their writing skills. And the one little boy says, my dad scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, calls it a poem, and a magazine pays him $100. Second boy said, that's nothing. He says, my dad scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, calls it a song. He says, and the publishers pay him $500. Third boy says, He says, my dad's a deacon. He scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, calls it a homily, takes 4 guys with baskets to collect all the money.
Years ago, when my middle daughter got married, her fiance came to me, and I asked him, I says, can you support a family? And he says, I was just going to support your daughter. I didn't know I have to support your whole family.
There was this elderly woman, never been married. She died, left a special request. She wanted no male pallbearers. She said, they wouldn't take me out in life, they're not going to take me out now.
But grandson Alex, cute little guy, when they took him to church one morning, this is Monica, my daughter, and he watched as the ushers were passing around a basket and coming forward with a collection, and they got closer and closer to him, and he poked Dad in the rib and says, "Dad, don't pay for me, I'm under 5."
Police recruit was being examined, and they said to him, "What would you do if you had to arrest your own mother?" He says, "Call for backup."
Sunday school teacher asks little Johnny, he says, "Now tell me, do you say prayers before eating?" And he says, "No, sir." He says, "We don't have to because Mom's a good cook."
Teacher asked her class, "Now, why do you think Mary and Joseph took Jesus to Jerusalem?" One kid said, "They couldn't get a sitter."
"Oh, I'm sure happy to see," the little boy said to his grandmother on his mother's side. He says, "Now maybe Daddy will do that trick he's been promising to do when you come over." He says, and the grandmother was quite curious. He says, "What trick is that?" And she asked him, and he says, "I heard him tell Mommy that he would climb the walls if you came over."
Teacher was discussing the 10 Commandments with her students, and she says, of course, the 4th commandment is honor your father and your mother, but is there a commandment that pertains to your brothers and sisters? One little guy says, yeah, thou shalt not kill.
We have a 3-year-old grandson, we got him a birthday gift, and he opened up the gift that we had given him and discovered it was a water pistol. And my daughter looked at me and says, Dad, he says, he says, she wasn't so happy about it, and he says, "I'm surprised at you. Don't you remember how we used to drive you crazy with a water gun?" And I said, "Yep."
What goes around comes around, right? It's the old mother's curse. May you have a child just like you, right? Okay. At Sunday school, they were teaching how God created everything, including human beings. And so little Johnny seemed quite interested in this story and how God took a rib from Adam's side to create Eve. A few days later, his mother saw Johnny laying on the floor holding his side. She says, "Johnny, are you all right?" He says, "Yeah," but he said, "I think I'm going to have a wife."
That same little guy asked Grandma how old she was, and she says, "I'm 39 and holding." And he says, "Well, what if you weren't holding? How old would you be?"
Just let it go.
Let it go.
Okay. 2 elderly ladies had been friends for decades. They'd done everything together. I mean, literally, they were almost inseparable. But in their later years, things were getting a little more difficult for them, and so they managed to get together once or twice a week and play a little cards or just visit. And this one day, they're playing cards, and the one lady looks at the other one. She says, "I know we've been friends for ages," but she says, I'm having trouble remembering your name. What what's your name? The other gal glares at her for the longest time. And finally she says, how soon you need to know? I remember back when our grandkids were younger and I was sitting in the recliner. My little granddaughter crawled up next to me and snuggled up and she says, Grandpa, you've got to be the smartest man in the world. I said, well, honey, that's very nice of you to say that, but why do you say that? She says, because Grandma said you know it all. Okay. Now, there's a little line that we as deacons and deacon wives have to kind of tread, and that is, you know, you're expected to have all the answers, but you can't appear to be a know-it-all, right? So it's kind of the same way with prayer. We're expected to be masters of prayer and always able to come up with a prayer or something. But that doesn't always work, and sometimes we get a bit distracted. And so I want to share this little prayer with you. Okay? God hears and answers every prayer, right? And a prayer is a conversation with God. So the conversation went this way. Our Father, who art in heaven.
Yes?
Don't interrupt, I'm praying.
But you called me.
Called you? No, I didn't call you. I'm praying. Our Father, who art in heaven.
There, you did it again.
Did what?
Called me. You said, Our Father, who art in heaven. Well, here I am. What's on your mind?
But I didn't mean, I was, well, you know, I was just saying my prayers for the day. I always say the Lord's Prayer. It makes me feel good, kind of like I'm fulfilling my duty.
Well, all right, go on.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hold it right there. What do you mean by that?
By what?
By hallowed be thy name.
It means, oh, good grief, I don't know what it means. How in the world should I know? It's just a part of the prayer. By the way, what does it mean?
It means honored, holy, wonderful.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I just never thought about it before.
Thanks. Go on.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Do you really mean that?
Well, sure.
What are you doing about it?
Doing, but well, nothing. I mean, I think it'd be kind of neat if you had control of things here on earth like you do up there. You know, we're kind of in a mess down here.
Yes, I know, but have I got control of you?
Well, I go to church.
That's not what I asked you. What about your bad temper? You've really got a problem there, you know, and then there's the way that you spend your money, all on yourself. And what about the kind of books you read?
Hold on just a minute here now. Why are you picking on me? I mean, I'm just as good as some of the rest of the people in church.
Excuse me, I thought you were praying for my will to be done. If that's to happen, it'll have to start with the ones who are praying for it, like you, for example.
Oh, all right. I guess I have to admit I do have some hang-ups. Now that you mention it, I could probably name a few of them.
So could I.
Well, I haven't thought that much about it until now, but I really would like to cut out some of those bad things. You know, I'd like to, be really free.
Good. Now we're getting somewhere. We'll work together, you and me. I'm proud of you.
Look, Lord, if you don't mind, I kind of need to finish this prayer here. It's taking a lot longer than it usually does, you know? You give us this day our daily bread.
You need to cut out the bread. You're a little overweight as it is.
Oh, yes, well, wait a minute. Here I'm doing my religious duty, okay? And all of a sudden, you break in and you start to point out all my shortcomings.
Praying is a dangerous thing. You might get what you ask for. Remember, you called me, and here I am. It's too late to stop now. Keep praying. Well, go on.
I'm scared to.
Scared of what?
I know what you'll say.
Try me.
Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us.
What about joy?
See, I knew it. I knew you'd bring her up. Well, Lord, she told lies about me. She spread stories. She never paid back the money she owes me. But I'll get even with her.
But your prayer, what about your prayer?
Well, I didn't mean it.
Well, at least you're honest. At least you're honest. But it's quite a load carrying around all that bitterness and resentment, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess I'd feel better as soon as I get even with her. Boy, have I got some plans for her. She'll wish she'd never been born.
No, you won't feel any better. You'll feel worse. Revenge isn't sweet. You know how unhappy you are? Well, I can change that.
Oh, you can, huh? How?
Forgive Joy. Then I'll forgive you. And the hate and the sin will be her problem, not yours. You'll have settled the problem as far as you're concerned.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You always are. I'd want to be right with you, more than I guess I want to get even with Joy. So, all right, I forgive her.
There now. Wonderful. How do you feel?
Well, not bad. Not bad at all, in fact. I feel pretty great. I don't think I'll go to bed all uptight tonight. I haven't been getting much rest lately,
Yeah, I know, but you're not through with your prayer, are you? Go on.
Oh, all right. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Good. I'll do that. Just don't put yourself in a place where you can be tempted.
What do you mean by that?
You know what I mean. Go ahead, finish your prayer.
For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours now and forever. Amen.
Do you know what would bring me glory? What would really make me happy?
No, but I'd like to know. I guess I've really made a mess of things here. But with your help, I guess I can get things straightened out. How do I go about making you happy?
You just did.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, but I think y'all took my script. But I know who's left. Wait a minute. Well, we're about getting close to the end here. I got another little man with song here that we're going to bring up, and then he's going to bring up his Wayne's Wanderers to go, and then we'll hear him sing, and then they have something else to do that won't take too long, so bear with us. I know the show's kind of going long, and I know mine can only stand what the seat can handle, but here we go, Wayne.
to start with, thanks to those guys, I don't have to preach this weekend because that's what I was going to do in my homily. Before I sing, though, I do want to say one thing. Last year at this time, I was in the hospital, and I felt your all's prayers, and I appreciate it, and I thank you, and it just goes to show you what really a community really is. Thank you. Strangers in the night, exchanging glances, wandering in the night. What were the chances we'd be sharing love before the night was through? Something in your eyes was so inviting, something in your smile was so exciting, something in my heart told me I must have you. Strangers in the night, two lonely people, we were strangers in the night, up to the moment when we said our first hello. Little did we know love was just a glance away, a warm embracing chance away. I'm losing breath. Ever since that night, we've been together, lovers at first sight. In love forever, it turned out so right, for strangers in the night. Love was just a glance away, a warm embracing dance away. Ever since that night, we've been together, lovers at first sight. In love forever, it turned out so right, for strangers in the night. Da 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 da. This next song, I do a lot of karaoke, and this is my favorite song. And because it's karaoke, that means I don't have the words in front of me. So I got the words in front of me this way. So, but I know most of it by heart. But this is a song by Frank Sinatra again. I'm a very Frank Sinatra fan. And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exception. careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and did it my way. I loved, I laughed and cried. I've had my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. I wasn't going to, but they said I could. Can't think of your name, Hank. He said that you all have heard this song, and this is a song I think that all of us at one time or another really believes in our own heart. And I could never find the music for it, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna do it a cappella, but I think I might be able to do it right. Sung by Jim Neighbors, if you know him. Yeah, that's him. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with the last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
While the others are coming up, this is why it's known as the Follies. We forgot to put the signs up. I guess nobody knew what was going on.
Well, when we do our part, all three of us will stand up together.
Last night we was getting together and trying to decide what name they wanted to call this group. And we kept talking, and finally we came up with the idea of Wayne Wonders. And because we was wondering what song we was going to sing, and wonder who was going to sing them, and especially wanted to know if I was still going to stay here to sing with them. So we're going to start out, and we're going to sing a couple secular songs for you, and then we're going to sing a couple sacred songs. And then we got a special song for all you deacons.
I think so. I don't know. Ready?
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, I pass throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee.
Join us.
How great thou art! How great thou art! Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art!
And if you know the next one, please join in.
But we're also going to have a treat, and you'll see it when we start singing.
Go ahead. Up front.
Oh, well. Oh, okay.
Oh, no, over there.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was breathing there 10,000 years, but shining as the sun. We know as saints to sing God's praise, and when we first begun.
Let me have this one. Now, if you deacons are smart, you would know that sometimes we've got to let the women do something. So this time we're going to let the women sing a song.
And this last song just lets you know that us deacons do get the last word in. Also, I'd like for all the deacons to stand up because this song we're going to sing pertains to you all too. So all deacons stand up.
They want to relieve themselves, stand up.
A
Get a
word
little relief.
about this.
Yeah, sure.
This song comes from the Diocese of Camden. A newly ordained deacon rewrote the words to this song. Right, Deacon Leo? Remember, slow it down.
Saturday morning, I'm singing in the band, making noise for boy like handstand. Stole on my shoulder and a book in my hand. Thank God I'm a deacon boy. Well, a simple kind of master never did me no harm. Dressed in pages at Father Smith's arms. Now I'm giving homilies and thinking it's a charm. Thank God I'm a deacon boy. Well, I got me a first year books in the attic. As a student I know I can be problematic. But see me now in my Dalmatic. Thank God I'm a deacon boy. Well, we gotta say thank you to the people here. Boudreaux and our brothers sing home no steer. And we'll sing it next year. Thank God we're all deacon boys. When we give our time, cause we're ecstatic, and we know that the journey can be cinematic. But here's what we say every most emphatic. Woo! Thank God we're all deacon boys.
Thank God we're all deacon boys.
I'll be the same.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long night. But before we go, I just want to acknowledge 3 special people who have been with us this week. Father Merck had to leave. Father Runkey's here. Father Runkey, thanks for all you do for us here. And last but not least, he doesn't want to be called Father. Jim. Well, y'all got a little time? I'm going to tell y'all a couple little stories before we leave. Father Boudreaux, he went to the racetrack. And boy, he get out there and he look at a horse and he go out there and he bless the horse. And the horse won. And this guy sees that, you know. A couple races go by and he blessed the horses and the horse won. So this guy started going bet on those horses. He'd pick out the horse that Father Boudreaux blessed. He'd bet on it and he won. Every race, he won every race. And it get down to the last race. And Father Boudreaux go out there and he makes some signs over the horse. He bless his ears. He bless his hooves. God bet everything he had. The horse came in last. He goes up to Father Boudreaux. He said, hey, he said, you bless all them horse and they win. You bless this one and it lose. What's the matter with that? Father Boudreaux said, that's how it is with you Protestants. You don't know the difference between the blessing and the last rites. Oh, Boudreaux won a bass boat. He won a bass boat. He bring that bass boat home, and Marie say, Boudreaux, what you going to do with that boat? He said, I'm going to keep that. I won that. She said, Boudreaux, there ain't no water within 50 miles of here to float that boat. He said, that's my boat, and I'm going to keep that boat. A couple days later, Thibodeau come out there to the house. She said, Marie, where's Boudreaux? She said, that fool's out in the field out there sitting in his boat with a fishing rod in his hand. Thibodeau go out there and he say, Boudreaux, what you doing? He said, what you think I'm doing? He said, I'm fishing. He said, Boudreaux, it's people like you that give us Cajuns a bad name. You stupid thing, you. Boudreaux said, stupid thing. He said, if I could swim, I'd get out of here and kick your butt. You know, the other night, Dan made a couple comments. He said something about an altar call, you know. And that reminded me of the time Boudreaux went to this revival. And this preacher was preaching on healing. And, boy, he preached away. And at the end, he had an altar call. He told anybody that needs some prayer over anything to come up. Well, Boudreaux came up. Preacher said, what can I pray for, my son? He said, it's my hearing, preacher, it's my hearing. So the preacher laid his hands on his ears, and he prayed and prayed and prayed. And he took them off, and he said, how's your hearing now? Boudreaux said, I don't know, it ain't till Wednesday. And another comment he made was about when he talked about speaking to people in another language, you know, that's got another language. Well, Boudreaux went to Spain. Well, he was going to Spain, and he got some books out of the library to study some Spanish. And Thibodeau came over and said, but what you doing? Man, he said, I'm learning some Spanish. I'm going to Spain. I got to learn how to talk to them people. Thibodeau said, Boudreaux, he said, them people over there are smart. He said, all you got to do is talk real slow. So Boudreaux went to Spain. He sat down at a restaurant. Waitress come over there, and he said, I think I'll have a steak and salad. She says, how would you like your steak? He says, where are you from? She said, Mississippi. He said, how did you learn to speak Spanish so good? You know, Boudreaux and Thibodeau went to the chocolate store, you know, and they get outside, and Thibodeau told Boudreaux, he said, Boudreaux, he said, I stole 3 chocolate bars. Boudreaux said, you stole 3 chocolate bars? Oh, he said, I can outdo that. He said, I'm going to steal 3 chocolate bars in front of the clerk. Boudreaux goes in there, and he told the clerk, he said, I'm going to show you a magic trick. He said, give me 3 chocolate bars. So Boudreaux got the 3 chocolate bars, and he ate them. Clerk said, where's the magic trick? What happened? He said, look in Thibodeau's pocket. You know, Boudreaux, something was said today about a carpenter, a lumber yard, or a sawmill or something, I can't remember, but Boudreaux worked at a lumber yard, and he had to go to confession one time, and he told the priest, he said, bless me, Father, he said, I work at a lumber yard, and I stole some lumber, and I built me a doghouse. Well, the priest said, well, I tell you what, say 3 or 4 Our Fathers, and don't do that anymore. Well, a couple weeks later, Boudreaux came back. He said, bless me, Father. He said, I stole some more lumber. I built me a fence around that doghouse. Priest said, that's getting a little more serious. He said, for that, you got to say 12 Our Fathers. And don't do that no more. Well, it wasn't long before Boudreaux came back, and he told the priest, he said, bless me, Father. He said, I stole enough lumber to build a house. Priest said, oh, he said, that's getting serious now. He said, for that, you're going to have to make a novena. Boudreaux said, a novena, Father? Yes, a novena. Boudreaux didn't know what a novena was, obviously. He said, but I tell you what, Father, if you got the plans, I got the lumber. Ooh, when Boudreaux and Marie got married a long time ago, they were in a horse and buggy. And they're driving along, and the horse stumbles. And Boudreaux gets out, and he punches the horse. They get back in. They go a little further. The horse stumbled again. He punched him again. He said, that's 2. Not too much longer, the horse stumbled again, and Boudreaux got out, and he shot the horse. And Marie said, Boudreaux, you shot that horse. What's the matter with you? He said, that's 1. Boudreaux, the guys they get in trouble for drinking sometime, and wasn't long ago that Boudreaux was telling the guys, he said, boy, I tell you what, he said, I'm so proud of myself. He said, I was drinking the other day, and I didn't want to get in trouble with the law, so I took a bus home. Boy, he said, that's good. He said, yeah, man, we were in that bus, and there was a police checkpoint and everything, and he said they waved us right on through. And he said, to this day, I still don't know how I drove that bus. Boudreaux and Thibodeau, they were fishermen all their lives. And it was always their wish that whoever died first would be buried at sea by the other one. And so, lo and behold, poor Thibodeau died, and Boudreaux was going to, he was going to honor his wishes. So he got everything and got prepared and went out there to the Gulf of Mexico. But lo and behold, poor Boudreaux drowned trying to dig the grave. Boudreaux one time, he was in a town and he was tired, so he pulled up in the park and he decided he would take a nap. Well, he just about get to sleep. This jogger comes along and knocks on the door, and he says, yeah? Jogger said, what time is it? Boudreaux said, 7:15. Guy said, thank you, and he took off. Boudreaux's just about to go to sleep. Here come another one. Knock on his window. He said, what time is it? Boudreaux said, 7:20. So Boudreaux said, I got enough of this. So he put a sign up on the window that says, I don't know the time. A little while later, a guy come along, knock on his window. He says, 7:45. Boudreaux had this horse, and Thibodeau came over there and he said, Boo, he said, I want to buy that horse. Boudreaux said, Thibodeau, that horse don't look good. You don't want to buy that horse. Oh, yeah, man, that horse looked good. He said, I got to have that horse. I'll give you $200 for that horse. Boudreaux said, Thibodeau, he said, I told you, that horse don't look good, but you got a horse. Well, a couple days later, Thibodeau came back. He said, Boudreaux, he said, that horse you sold me, he said, that horse is blind. He said, I told you it didn't look good. Boudreaux and Thibodeau went elk hunting up in Canada, and Malone saw him. He had a plane, and he flew him up there. He said, boys, I'll be back in about a week to pick y'all up. And he said, y'all have a good time. Well, week goes by. Here come Malone on his float plane. He said, how'd y'all do, boys? Boudreaux said, we got 6. Oh, he said, we can't put but 4 in this plane. He said, look, Melanson, last year, you had a plane just like this one, and we put 6. Well, they talked him into putting 6, and takes off, and no sooner he gets up, the plane comes down, and they crawl out, and Melanson say, where are we at? Boudreaux said, about the same place we crashed last year. Boudreaux and technology. You know, we talk about technology all the time. Well, Boudreaux's kind of getting in the modern world. He was a carpenter. And he got his first skill saw, and boy, he was fascinated by it. And he was listening to it, and he got too close to his ear, and he cut his ear off. Oh no! Here come Thibodeau. He said, "What's the matter, Boo?" Oh, he said, "I cut my ear off." Well, yeah, let's look. Thibodeau said, "Look." He said, "That's your ear right there on the ground." He said, "We could pick that up and go ahead and sew it on." He said, "That ain't my ear." He said, "What you mean that ain't your ear?" He said, "Mine had a pencil on it." Another time he got a job at the sawmill. And he was running the wood, you know, through the sawmill, and lo and behold, he cut off all his fingers. He run down there to Dr. Malonzo. He said, "Dr. Malonzo," he said, "I cut off all my fingers." Boudreaux said, he said, "Well, Boudreaux, where's those fingers?" He said, "I could sew that back on." Boudreaux said, "How was he going to pick them up?" Let's see. Boudreaux was babysitting, his little nephew, a little toddler, and Thibodeau came over there, and that baby crawled across the porch, and man, his diaper was filthy. And Thibodeau said, "Boudreaux, you never heard about them disposed diapers there that, you can just take that off and throw that away and put another one on?" Well, he said, "I'm going to try that." So a couple days later, Thibodeau came back. Here come that little baby, got one of them disposable diapers on, and man, it's full. He said, "Boudreaux, that baby's diaper is full." He said, "No, it ain't. It ain't full." He said, "Look at the box. It say from 10 to 12 pounds. Well, we're going to get close to winding this thing up, but I got to tell y'all one more. There was these two morticians, and they brought in 3 bodies, and they all had smiles on their faces. So one of them looked at the other one, and he said, "What is it with these guys with the smiles on their faces?" One of them tells the other one, he said, "Well, that guy over there, he's a 59-year-old Frenchman. He was with his mistress." And he said, "That one over there," he said, "that was a 29-year-old Irishman. He won the lottery and he drank himself to death." And he said, "That one over there," he said, "that's Boudreaux from Louisiana. He got hit by lightning. He thought they were taking his picture." Well, folks, the clock on the wall said it's time to go. So as we always do, we get everybody up here that's been in the show. Oh, we're going to do the raffle? Yeah, let's do the raffle first. The door prizes. I'm sorry. We got puzzles by the Markets. We have the New Jerome Bible Handbook, donated by Sil. And we have Ordained to Serve, Prayers and Blessings for Permanent Deacons, donated by Abbey Press. We also have a scholarship. So we're going to start with the puzzles. All right, for a puzzle. That reminds me of a story. Thibodeau came over to Boudreaux's house, and Boudreaux was making a puzzle, you know. And he said, Boudreaux, he said, man, he said, how long it took you to make that puzzle? Oh, he said, it took me 3 weeks, and boy, I'm proud of that. He said, 3 weeks? He said, that's a long time, Boudreaux. He said, look in the box, it said 3 to 5 years. Ticket number 707872. 707872. Going once? Twice? Too bad. It's getting late, Ken, and they can't see the numbers because they're sleepy. 707837. Yeah. Come on down. Price is right. We're going to put them back in after to give everybody a chance to win the big prize. No, keep your ticket. Yeah, it checks. Okay. 707846. 707846. Make sure you got the right ticket, Ken. Okay. One more puzzle. Yeah, 707847. It wasn't the same family. Getting hot in here, huh? While we're doing this, why don't the rest of you performers just start making your way up here to save time? Some of these people are snoring too loud. They're not hearing what's going on. All right. This is going to be the Bible, Jerome, the new, the new Jerome Bible Handbook. 707873. 707873. Nope. Seven 707-863. Is yours? We'll be here all night, but I'll do it. No, this one. 707-936. 707-936. Yay! And the last prize is the ordained to serve. Well, not the last, but the second to last. 707-944. All right. Keep it because we're putting these back and we're going to mix them up real good. This one's for the full scholarship, husband and wife, for next year's NDICE. Boudreaux. 707-747. Y'all start coming up, please. Congratulations, Bill. going to do, first of all, we're going to do God Bless America, because God knows we need it. While they're coming up, I'll tell you a little story, because it's going to take them a while. They in the slow group here. He probably rode the short bus to school. They had this counterfeit ring in Texas, you know, and they were making good, beautiful bills. But one night they had a party and they got drunk. And the guy that was supposed to make the $10 bills made $12 bills. And they goes, oh, no, what are we going to do? One of them said, I know what we're going to do. We're going to go to Louisiana and we're going to pass that on them Cajuns. Well, they get in their Lincoln Confidential car and off they go. They get to Esterwood, Louisiana, and that's Boudreaux in his store. And the guy said, watch this. He goes in there and he said, sir, can you give me change for 12? Boudreaux said, oh, yes, yeah. He said, how you want that? 2 6s, 4 3s, or 3 4s? All right, we ready, gang? Yeah. Whoop. We gotta follow the leader. Ready? God bless America. This has been a tradition in the Follies for quite some time now. And those of you who have been here know what we sing. We always conclude with, Holy God, we praise thy name. And so in unison, let's please sing that song from the bottom of our hearts tonight. Amen. I thank y'all for coming tonight, and it's been a very special time for me. As you know, and as many of you know, my wife Charlene passed away in January. And I've been surrounded with love. I think I got almost 300 emails from mostly my NDICE family from around the country, and it just meant so much to me. I thank you. You're my family, and it's great to be with family. I have so many families, church family, work family, but particularly and special, my NDICE family. Thank you all, and God bless. Amen. I have one more joke, but you're going to hear it tomorrow.